Hello, U.S. History 101 class. Welcome to week 5. And so I hope what you are all realizing, despite the fact that you may be very exhausted with a lot of work, not just from my class but from others, that because this is a 10-week class, and this is why you've been having so much extra work, you are in fact already halfway through. So we go to week 10 and we're at 5 now. And so just keep that in mind. And I also want to mention that even though I think the last 2 weeks will be still a lot of work, it's not going to be doubled up in the same way. So you'll have a little bit less work once you get through this last hump. So I think about 2 more weeks of these back to like part 1 and part 2s, and then you're just going to have a module, one module for each section. And I want you to keep in mind that when it comes to the final, I don't make it comprehensive in the way that others do. Your success is going to be keeping up with this class and doing what you're doing now. And if I told anybody you could get late work and you got a 0, at this point, what I want you to realize is that first of all, remember, you can never turn in late work without getting prior permission, or you do get a 0 and it'll stay a 0. If you contact me and ask me, if you can turn in late work, or you mention something after it's already been a 0, you do get to turn it in. Now, what I need to start doing is giving 0s to all assignments that are not turned in on time, even if we have a prior arrangement, because I need you to see what the status of your class is as it is, okay? So don't get worried if you say, hey, Mr. Pollack, can I turn in late work? And I turn in, and I say you can turn in late, and I put a 0. That just means that's what happens. That's what your grade looks like if you don't get your late work turned in as you said you're going to turn in, which I approved of. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. All right. Last thing to say. Okay, well, it's Black History Month. I posted 2 discussions on an announcement, from Baldwin and Cornell West, and I'll try to maybe see some other interesting material to post. I also posted something for one of my friends that are indigenous that have a tattoo parlor in Portland, mainly because I thought their website and what they were doing was trying to show indigenous cultural life in the contemporary world outside of just the negative history of conquest and expansion within U.S. history. And so I do like us to remind ourselves that in any given society where we have a culture that kind of dominates over another culture, we can get ourselves stuck in the narrative to see a particular group, to see the groups completely locked into the relationship of oppressor and oppressed. And we have to break those things down, which we are doing in this class, and we have to come to terms with those things. We want to rectify the problems of imbalanced relationships. But I feel like it's always good for us to remember that just because somebody has been on the side of being oppressed doesn't mean that they are not capable of doing all the great things just because they were forced into a position to put them down. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that each culture should be honored its due, independent of how they stand or sit on the power relations historically. And that I think that we need to find a way that a person is not a permanent part of an oppressor group. The oppressor groups does not have to be perpetual nor being oppressed. And that we can look at both cultures, peoples outside of that. Now, that doesn't mean being in denial, of course, of that, which is in this class, again, we're not in denial of that. And Howard Zinn is addressing that quite explicitly. And we're covering a lot of detail on conquest. We're going to be covering the Mexican-American War, which is extremely important, which is shamefully not highlighted as a major thing to know if you live in the United States. Those of you who are in California, most of you who are in my class, I mean, why are so many names around us Spanish names? Well, it's because it was once Mexico and it was taken by force. Okay, and being taken by force, and then still having a discussion about the sanctity of borders. But how we process all this history that we're learning into modern contemporary politics is also tricky, right? So anyhow, I guess maybe I was being a little bit vague on some of this. I like having class. The one thing I miss about being in a face-to-face class is I can have some of these discussions, put these out, and then you can give me immediate feedback, and we can have like a discussion to bounce off of in the classroom, incorporated into the broader subjects that we're covering. So in any case, I'm busy a lot, but I try to make myself available, not just to help you fix any problems you're having with your papers or anything with your grade, but if you have any questions and you want to go over to debate or discuss or the material we cover, I want to always try to make myself available outside of just the technicalities of the class. But, if you're taking a deep interest in U.S. history and you want to know more or explore certain topics that were covered or challenge certain topics as well. So I'll leave it at that. I hope you're all taking good care of yourselves. A lot going on in the world, as always. Felt feelings for those in Turkey and Syria with the earthquakes. I live here in Santa Cruz, where earthquakes have hit pretty hard in the past and can always hit us again. I was last living in Portland, again, where there's a predicted big one coming at any point. I was in Modesto, I think it was the 88, when the whole Bay Area here got hit really hard, and it was tragic and overwhelming. So it's good to always be reminded that we are all sharing this planet, and maybe those things happen in countries far away, but that can be us next. And it's not good to be in fear of that thought, but to just be in human compassion and solidarity, and to really think about what that, how we're all affected at some point by these kind of things. So that's all I have to say on that, and we'll be in touch.